Welcome to another unboxing from theplayersaid.com. I'm Grant. Today I'm unboxing a game that came out a couple of years ago, I believe in 2016, and it was successfully funded on Kickstarter. The game is Fallen Land, a post-apocalyptic board game. The game is from Fallen Dominion Studios, and the designers, it's actually co-designed, John Longren and Sean Cahill. Very neat looking. I want to use the term storytelling apocalyptic game because it deals with obviously the story of America after an apocalypse, where it's turned into a wasteland and you are controlling a town and you are to go about doing different missions and quests, having encounters in different types of terrains, collecting resources, and then developing characters with equipment and other items, with your goal being improving the prestige of your town to a certain point that makes you win the game. So it's very story driven. In fact, I'll show you some of the cards when I open it, but each of the cards is almost a mini story, a short story that details an encounter with something. And then you have to do challenges or skill checks based on what your characters have, and you roll some dice, and there's different modifiers based on whatever equipments you might have or other things that are going on. Very interesting game. Obviously, I've not played it, but I have watched it being played on YouTube, and it looks very interesting. One thing I would say about the game is it is very involved. It is a longer game, but the sequence of play appears to be fairly simple. It's just a matter of following the steps, doing the tasks, drawing the cards that are required, paying the sums that are required, then investing in technologies and equipment, etc. So once again, I don't know that it's overly complex. It's just a very detailed sequence of play. And actually, I think it's advertised. Here we can see on the front. It's advertised for 2 to 5 players. I believe one of the expansions that I will show you in a moment will increase that from 2 to 5 to 2 to 6. And I also think there's a solo variant involved in that expansion, but we'll look at that. So you can see it's advertised as 1 hour per player. So you can see if you have 5 players, you can expect the game to be 5 hours. So you need to understand that before you get into it, and as we talk about the game. So I'm going to go ahead and open it up. It was already pre-ripped. I just received this. The other thing I would say about this game is there is a lot packed in this box. The box isn't huge. It's not an oversized box. But I can tell you it is heavy. In fact, I would recommend you use your legs when you lift, because you're going to hurt yourself. But it's chock full, guys. I mean, this is a really full game. There's the cover. I think it's great art. Very evocative of the theme, as you would expect, America at the end of its time. So here's the rule book. Once again, that great art from the cover. I actually did an interview with one of the designers, John Longren, posted it on the blog maybe a month ago or 6 weeks ago. Really gives an in-depth look into the game and talks about its design, how it was made, and what the intention was. But this is a pretty thick rule book, and it is glossy on very thick paper. And you can see it is illustrated considerably. So here, the page that I'm showing you is an example of equipment. So you have melee weapons, ranged weapons, equipment, books, armor, clothing, vehicles, relics, events, and allies. And each of those are going to give you different benefits. Like I said, there's a great shot of a desecrated Statue of Liberty. But a very interesting looking game with a lot of different mechanics. So just a very brief look at that rule book, and it actually looks a little intimidating. The rules are, I think that this book is actually 42 pages, with the back couple pages being credits and a glossary. But it does give you a good description of the game and gives you some examples of play. And there are quite a few videos still out there on the internet from the Kickstarter campaign that will really give you a good feel for how it plays. So there's the rule book. So one of the first things that we see here are I think there are 10 different factions that are present in the game. Each of these factions has different powers, so there's variable player powers. Here's an example, a look at the Highwaymen. They're out of Sturgis, South Dakota. The Regulators out of Texas. So some pretty neat looking, the New Federalists from Georgia, Grand Haven, Michigan, Utah, the Brotherhood, St. George, Utah, actually. So you can see there's quite a few options that you have. I'm not going to go into the details of these player aids or these faction aids because then this would turn out to be a rules video. Just trying to show you the different components. These are pretty good quality. They're thick. They're double-sided. Nice color. Interesting art. I think they've done a good job on the art. Once again, it evokes the theme, and I think that's good. Some of the art's better than others. I was looking at some of it, and like that's fantastic. That right there. So anyway, an example. Look at those different factions. Here's a player aid sheet, which in essence has the sequence of play. You've got the effects phase, town business phase. It kind of walks you through those steps. Party exploits phase, and then you have the intern phase, and you're just going to repeat that. So there's a look at that. Now there's a whole bunch of counters. We're going to pull these out. This game has a glut of cardboard counters. Different markers. This is a 1-week penalty. So for instance, if you start, for lack of a better word, a mission on I think it's week 2, and that mission takes 2 weeks, you're going to get one of these 1-week penalties that lets you know you got to carry that over. Here's some different, I think these are technologies that you can develop: water and supplies, medical centers, marketplaces, machinist shop. They're dual-sided. Here you have some of the faction markers. If you remember the ones, these were the New Federalists. So you can see that those are pretty nice. You're going to have those that mark your captured areas, your hometown, etc. So there's a lot of markers there. There's damage markers. These are radiation markers and other items. So you're gonna track your wounds on your characters. Your characters can die, and then you will end up replacing them. Once again, here's some more, looks like fuel markers and different things. And back to the technologies. Here are mission chits. These are points of interest. And I think those come out randomly based on some die rolls. I'm not quite sure, but I wanted to show you these pop out really easy. And there's a good look at one of those, the Learning Center. So on that type of skill check, and I don't know what that is off the top of my head, you're going to gain a success. So you're automatically going to generate a success of that type. And each of these missions or tasks are going to ask you for 2 or 3 or maybe even 4 successes. And I think it's intuitive that the more successes required, the better the rewards. They give you a bunch of plastic bags to hold the tokens. There's some, I'll show you those separately in a minute. Here are the dice. You got some standard 6-siders, and then you have some colored 10-siders. And each of these are going to be associated with a specific skill. When you roll them, you're going to compare them to that number needed and determine whether you are successful or not. I'm going to go ahead and open. These are the faction markers. They look really nice. I can't remember if this was one of the Kickstarter exclusive items, but they do look pretty nice. So there's an example. Very, very good looking plastic marker that's going to stand on the map. Here's another one. Once again, just represents the different factions that are in the game. There's the New Federalists. We've already seen those. So really a nice touch. I remember seeing these, I think it was at Gen Con in 2016. And I thought, oh, those are neat. So I remember as I looked at the game. So there's a look at those faction markers. Now we're gonna, and you can see there's a whole bunch of cards on the bottom of that box. Because this really is a card-heavy game. I don't want to say a card-driven game. As many of you know from our war game reviews, card-driven games are a specific brand of war game. So here's the map. I'm going to go ahead and lay that. I just hit the stand, so I apologize. Kind of clumsy. So you can see that it's a map of the United States with Mexico on the south and Canada on the north. It is a hex-based map. You're going to move from hex to hex. You're also going to encounter various terrain. These are mountains, plains. That terrain is going to, I think mountains take 2 movement points. Radioactive zones. I'm assuming this is a radioactive zone. And when you move through those areas, you're going to, it's harder to move through. But you can see there are different locations for the different factions. These are kind of their home. Here, once again, here's that New Federalist faction there in Georgia. The Grand Haven, Michigan faction is right here. They have kind of a trident. Here's another faction. So they're all over the board. You're going to start in different areas of the board. Victory point track around the edge. And I believe, if I remember correctly, you're tracking actually prestige and the health or size of your town. I think the prestige is tracked over on the left side of the board, up and down this track, and then I think your town health is tracked down here. But yeah, really nice looking map. Well designed, and it's very distinctive. It stands out quite a bit. I don't know that you're going to see a lot of maps like that. I think that's a cool thing, though. I think it looks great. Nice, colorful dice. Love the markers, the faction cards, and the rule book. And I do want to show you at least some of these cards. Because once again, I said the game is really driven or focused on these cards that you're going to draw. And I want to say there's 5 or 6 different types of cards. Let's look at that. You got spoils. You got several decks of spoil cards. I think you have missions. You have various encounters cards. This is the Plains encounter. Here are mission cards. Sorry, just to show you the backs. These are action cards. So let's go ahead and just open. I'll open this mission. Once again, not a rules video, and I'm going to try not to assume how it works, but I've watched like a round or a round and a half of the game being played, and I can tell you I'm very intrigued. So yeah, there you go. There's some mission cards. Here's some other encounter cards. These are mountain. So when you're in mountainous terrain, you're going to encounter those. Plains. Bunch of different. There's just a lot of cards, which is good. I like cards. So I'm going to show you the back. And remember, I mentioned story or storytelling or story driven. So this is an example of one card. This is a mission card. It has a title, Farming Supplies Procurement. I'm not going to read that, but you can see there's an entire story that you can read through so you understand what is happening and what is being asked of you. Then, here in the middle, this is what you're going to have to do in order to defeat this. I think the skull is a survival roll. And once again, I don't remember what the shaky hand is there. Success, you're going to gain 3 spoil cards now. So you're going to literally, from the spoils deck, draw 3 cards and you can pick through them. Those are going to include things like gas cans, food, equipment, clothing, rope, building supplies, etc. that you might need to accomplish what you're trying to do. You can trade those, sell them to gain money, or salvage dollars that you can then use to buy different things. You'll also notice that there's a failure. So this one, if you fail, you're going to lose 2 prestige and 4 town health. Those are both the elements that you're trying to increase to win the game. And here's a look at, here's 3 others. So there's 4 of these mission cards, and you can see they all have these huge stories. In talking to John on the interview, he said they spent hundreds and hundreds of hours writing out these different stories. I could imagine that would be a little fun, also a little frustrating to try and make sure you had unique and differing stories, but there's all kinds of stories. So there's a look at some of the mission cards. I'm going to go ahead and I'll show you some of the action cards just so you can get a feel, where you can get a feel for that. Let's turn these over. Really, I love the art on the back of the action cards. And in fact, this picture is, I believe, used as the main cover for the first expansion, A Journey into Darkness, which we will unbox here in just a moment. I'm going to actually do it as a separate video. But here's a look at a couple of those action cards. And man, there's a lot of them, man. A chemical solution. Play anytime on a party. Each of those characters heal 3 points of any form of damage. So you can see they're just things that you can do. Act of God. This card trumps all others. It cannot be prevented by any means. Play anytime to cancel, negate an action card. So it's kind of a way to save yourself from a negative card. Heist. Play anytime to steal all of an opponent's salvage coins. Yikes. I'm rubber, you're glue. Play when an opponent plays an action card on you. That card affects the initiator instead. That's awesome. Bridge out. Play during the party exploits phase on an opponent. Their party is delayed and receives a 2-week penalty chip. Then roll a d6 on a 1 to 2. Each of their party characters take 2 physical damage, which will ignore armor. So yeah, there's an example of what these action cards are. And once again, you're gonna go through these different phases. You're going to be drawing cards, doing what they say, taking those actions. There are characters. Here I'm going to go ahead and show you at least some of the characters. We will we may try to play this weekend. We've talked about it. Everybody's excited, and we may try to play it this weekend. But here's a look at an example of a character card. This guy, they have a name, Addison Morley. He's a veteran park ranger. They even have a quote there. He has an ability. Looks like he's good with axes, compass, and maps. So he's going to get bonuses there. Once again, don't remember what those symbols are. And then here are the values in the different categories that he is. He has 6 health, and I don't know what the 3 brain. I don't know. But that's an example of a guy. Then you have this other guy, Alton Goldwater. I mean, there are hundreds of characters. Maybe hundreds isn't, but dozens. Even John Longren, one of the creators. John Longren, leader of Secret Organization. So that's kind of cool. But anyway, there's an example of the characters, and I'm telling you, there's a bunch. Then there's a lot of different types of equipment. You have a bat. There's another character. But yeah, you have characters and equipment and different things. There's just a lot to this game. And to me, the game looks very exciting, very interesting. And I'm very interested in giving it a try. So that's a look at Fallen Land, a post-apocalyptic board game designed by John Longren and Sean Cahill from Fallen Dominion Studios. There's also an expansion. It is called A Journey into Darkness. We will unbox that here in just a moment. But if you're interested in this game, you can check out their website. You can buy from their website. I think you can also buy from Amazon, if I'm not mistaken. Great looking game. I'm going to try to give it a play this weekend with my friends. I got to watch that video again and then try to get through the rules so I can teach them tomorrow. We're actually going to do that tomorrow. And then we'll probably do a first thoughts video expressing what we thought of the game initially. Then after another play or two, we will try to put some of our written thoughts down and share with you what our thoughts and impressions of the games are, or the game is. So there you have it. If you enjoyed the video, please like and give us some comments in the comments below. We like to hear from our subscribers and those who watch the videos. Once again, we're always looking to improve. We're always looking to provide better insight and description of games as we unbox them and show them with you. And once again, we love to share our thoughts on games. So check out our website at thePlayer'sAid.com. You'll see a lot of different information there, from reviews, session reports, designer interviews, unboxings, and other videos. We typically review and play war games, Hex Encounter, war games, but we also spread out and play some Euros and other type of games. But I think we're more of a heavy, hardcore board gamers. So anyway, let me know your thoughts, and thanks for watching. I've been Grant with The Player's Aid.